Bitcoin pumps, even as it's in mean reversion. How many times do I have to tell people that before they get it? I guess we'll find out at some point. So, Bitcoin on this April 8th, 2024 has been pumping and reached around 72K and change. Now, can it hit new all-time highs? It's possible. Can it do so today? Also possible, but the probabilities are quite thin that it will close the day above the level where it hit, because if you know about the VEPs, you'll know that it already hit the third daily sell line, which is resistance if you want to call it that, but it's really just sell pressure on the VRE. What does that mean? Well, it means that there's basically a 99.7% probability that it is not going to close the day above that line or below that line to the downside, third daily support line. That's your 99.7% range. All right, so it's already tapped an area where there's less than zero, there's basically 0.3% probability it'll close above there. Can it? Yes. Have we seen Bitcoin do that before? Of course. Does it mean it will? Not necessarily. In fact, the probabilities are against it. Now, does that mean, call it a day already? Well, if you're a low time frame volatility trader, you don't really care about the price action. You just care about being correct on the trade. So if you longed it from, a couple $1,000 below where it was when it started that nice move about 5, 6, 7 hours ago, well, it certainly was a nice place to take profit. In fact, you had a couple of nice areas to take profit and reposition for more upside, which it did. And then you had a nice area to take profit at the top and go down a little bit, which it did. Now, how would you be able to know that? Well, if you read the VEPs properly, you would know that. What are the VEPs? Again, volatility, entropy, probability, and statistics. It quite clearly told you when the asset went into a trending move, came out of it, started to come out of it, bounced back into it, peaked out, and then fell out. You could easily see that on the 15-minute intraday monitor time frame. It was very clear. And on lower time frames, of course, it was clearer minute by minute. If you're looking down at the 6 or the 3 or the 1 minute time frame, for example. So, what are the probabilities that Bitcoin will smash up past $100,000 this week? Well, it could go above $100,000 this week, but there's an extremely high probability that it will not touch the third band to the upside of the 3012 RMOR, which is right around 105K. So, you can use that upside level as an area to take profits if it goes anywhere near there. There's an extremely small chance it will actually touch that line. Why? Because since about 5 weeks ago or so, on the 7-day time frame, Bitcoin has not hit that band again. It only hit it once, and you could say it's an outlier. It's not, doesn't count. Well, even if you look at the weekly, it came very close to that third band. It was well above the second band, so it's in mean reversion because it hasn't hit it since then on the 7-day time frame, and that means that the 3012 RMLR is in fact the mean reversion target. And that could happen anytime between now and, you know, you could guess, but anytime between now and September, you know, it's entirely possible that in a couple months' time, maybe sometime in June, late June or so, you could see it complete that mean reversion, maybe dropping to about 60K, if that's where the RMLR actually is at that time. Look, for now, it looks like that's where it'll be, but, you know, the RMLR is not an exact price indicator. It is a directional indicator of the RMLR, and it predicts the direction extremely closely and extremely accurately. So, what does that mean? Does that mean you shouldn't long now? No, it doesn't mean anything like that. To the line, but not by touching it. And if you're long, that would be an area to take profit because of the probabilities. Do you have to care about what the probabilities say? You don't have to, but generally speaking, the probabilities play out, especially when they're so extreme. Does that mean that it's going to dump all the way down to the 3012 RMLR on this 7-day candle? Well, obviously not. Right? It can take a long time, as I just said. It can take many weeks to complete that mean reversion. And by the way, it could even theoretically complete that mean reversion to the upside sometime later in the year, maybe October or November, depending on what it does in the coming weeks. So, while all these YouTubers out there, all these shillers, that's what we call them, YouTube Jimmies, and get people all excited to FOMO in right now again, as they are actively doing since a few hours already. They're basically fooling people into thinking, go long, go long. And we already saw the mean reversion starting to happen on the lower time frames, like the 15-minute. And even if it does pump to new all-time highs today, at some point, again, it's extremely unlikely to, you know, go to 150K or whatever this week, or even next week, or even the week after during the halving. So, well, the halving might even be next week, we'll see. So, take that with a grain of salt. Don't get too excited. Sure, it's a huge move between 70K and 100K or more. It's a massive move, right? It's almost 50%, it's like a 40% move. But it's extremely unlikely to happen this week, to go up to 105K, you know, to where that third band is. So keep that in mind. Don't get your trading positions up in a bunch, all twisted. Instead, focus on learning how to trade the VEPs if you don't already know. And if you do know, well, enjoy that tidbit of trading information. And bear that in mind, because, you know, when things seem too good to be true, they usually are, if the VEPs indicates as much. And when things seem too bad to be true, they usually are, except when the VEPs indicate as much. And where can you learn about the VEPs? Well, just go to alphatradinghq.com/discord, enter the Discord, click on the request support channel, and begin the process to get free indicators and chart to learn how to trade volatility and probability and statistics, and you'll be on your way. Happy trading.